Broadcasting from Cincinnati, you're listening to the Ringside Reporter podcast. All the news from the world of boxing right here.
Well, I'm talking to you the way I want to talk to you.
Now, here's your host, Eric Lorda.
And we are live. Welcome to the Ringside Reporter Show, where we talk about the latest boxing news. If it's related to boxing, we'll talk about it here. My name is Eric Lorton. I'm here with my co-host, Joe Habib. We got a great show for you today. And if you want to call in and ask questions, you're out of luck. Why? Because Blog Talk is down. Blog Talk is down. Let me do this here. Blog Talk sucks. Add that. There we go. There we go. Right across the screen, Blog Talk sucks. That's where we're at today. All right, guys, let's get started with it on DAZN. Vergil Ortiz versus Serhii Borachuk for the WBC 154-pound interim title. Vergil Ortiz wins a majority decision over Borachuk by the scores of 113 all, 114-112 twice. A lot of people had Borachuk winning this fight. I thought Ortiz did enough to win the fight, even with the two knockdowns. But that being said, I didn't score the fight. So my opinion is pretty much useless. Borachuk, he fought a great fight, but in my opinion, man, Ortiz landed the harder and the cleaner shots. Ortiz was putting in like heavy bag shots. I mean, he was loading up and they were landing those body shots. Some of those body shots that he landed were unbelievable, man. They were hard shots. I'm surprised Borachuk didn't go down on any of them. I'm just shocked. But he's got a chin, man. And it looked like Ortiz hurt him a couple of times in that fight. But he was able to kind of get his bearings and stuff, fast recovery and everything like that. I thought it was good. Now, I know at the end of the fight, Tom Loeffler and Borachuk's corner were saying, no, this was nonsense. This was, this and that. But I kind of think it did go the right way. But I don't know if I'm in the minority or not. This was definitely a fight of the year candidate either way. Very good fight. Very back and forth. Beeb, how did you have it?
Yeah, this was another close fight. I actually thought I'm going to pronounce. I was corrected on how to pronounce this guy, so I'm not being a snob by saying it a different way than you. Gail on the round table said his name is Bohachuk. That's how it's pronounced. I guess he yelled at someone was interviewing him and he said, "My name is Bohachuk." So
Bohachuk.
So yeah. So Bohachuk.
Borachuk around here, all right, until otherwise said. All right.
You gotta respect the guy's family, man. You can't shit all over the guy's family like that.
What am I doing? I didn't do anything.
That was his birth name. You got to respect
it. I don't know that.
All right, so we'll do some research. God damn it! All right, so Bohachuk, I thought, applied more pressure. I'm not saying that Ortiz didn't apply pressure, but Bohachuk, I looked like he seemed to be backing Ortiz up more, and when Ortiz would kind of try to push Bohachuk back, Bohachuk would spin him out in the corner, and he would always be the guy in front of him, and controlling that dynamic of the fight where he was the guy who was basically maneuvering Ortiz where he wanted to. I felt you're right about the body shots, but I thought Bohachuk was a little cleaner with some of his shots, particularly those uppercuts and those right hands from a distance. Whereas Ortiz, I thought sometimes he was smothering his work. And some of those shots, although they were getting through, not all of them were landing flush. And that's why I think Bohachuk, I fucked that up myself. Bohachuk, I thought I edged him in some of these close rounds, but I could see other people going the other way. One thing I did differently than most people, too, is I thought Bohachuk won the 12th round, and not many people gave Bohachuk the 12th round. So if I give Ortiz the 12th round, then I have it a draw, because I had this 114 and 112. I can't really complain about the decision. I did think Bohachuk was going to get the nod though because of the knockdowns. So for Bohachuk to lose this fight, you would only had to have given him 4 rounds, and if you give him 5, it's a draw. So
well, it was an 8 round to 4 fight the way the judges had it, because they had it 112,
they had it 114. I had it,
and they took the 116. It was 8-4 according to them. I found that it was, like I said, man, and I was going to rescore it. I was actually going to go watch, but I can't do that because I already know who won. You know what I mean? So going back and rescoring never works,
Yeah. So I
two
had
knockdowns is a tough thing to overcome, man.
Yeah. I had it 114 and 112 for Bohachuk, and I had it 6-6 in rounds. If I flip round 12, then 7-5, and then it's a draw. So I could see 114, 112 either way or 113 and 113. But I when I was watching it, I kind of said to myself, I have a hard time seeing Ortiz win more than 5 of these rounds, right? So at best, I thought myself it was a draw at best, but a lot of people online disagreed. They did have it 8-4 for Ortiz. They did admire the body shots, like you said, and they probably felt that, as you said as well, you weren't the only one to say this, that his shots appeared to be the heavier blows. So,
they were both putting in shots, but yeah, when I saw Ortiz landed, it was like, he was visibly, it looks like bigger punches to me anyway.
Whether we have different scorecards or not, I think one thing we can agree on, this is a very good fight, very entertaining fight. And
very good. Yeah.
We can't complain about how the fight played out, at least.
Turki Al-Alshikh was ringside. He liked the fight. He said he wants to have Borachuk back on a card or whatever. See, that's what I like about Al-Alshikh, is that like he'll take a fighter that loses, and as long as he gives a good account of himself, the guy's a warrior, put him right back on. Because it doesn't mean anything. And he'll put him in against a good guy. That'll be a good fight. And he's not worried about matchmaking for the sake of matchmaking to promote somebody.
Yeah, he makes tough fights.
Yeah.
Got to make a correction with Omar Rodriguez saying, could one of those rounds be a 9-8, one of the knockdown rounds? No, it could be 10-9, but it can't be 9-8. The only time it could be 9-8 is if the referee takes a point away from the fighter. It's a 10-point must system, so someone's got to get 10. So if you thought that regardless of the knockdown, you thought Ortiz was winning the round, but you wanted to give Bohachuk a point for the knockdown, then you could have scored that first round 10-9. There were some people that did score that first round 10-9 instead of 10-8 because they did think Ortiz did win the round despite being knocked down. So you could do it. So it would have to be 10-9, not 9-8. Yeah. So that's how that works according to the 10-point must system.
But I thought it was a really good fight. And so let me ask you this. What's next? Is the Crawford fight next?
Oh, I think so.
For Ortiz?
I believe so. Sure.
Because if I'm Terrence Crawford, I'm saying, get him in front of me now. Because Terrence Crawford, in my opinion, will beat this guy. It's not going to be easy, but he was there to get hit last night. And I couldn't imagine Crawford hitting him the way Bohachuk was hitting him. So
that was funny. We have to twisters with this guy's name.
I know, right?
We're sorry.
Bohachuk. Yeah,
the Bohachuk. No, because I was saying Bohachuk on Thursday, and this lady Gail, she always corrects people when they get the names wrong because she that's her stickler. She knows all the names.
So because I tell you what, I don't. Sometimes we run across these names and I have no idea how to.
Yeah, shout out to Gail Falkenthal because she goes to all the fights. She writes for New York Fights, NY Fights.
Okay, yeah.
So she writes with them.
That's cool. That's funny. So you think Terrence Crawford is next, huh?
Yeah, and I want to comment on something that I've been hearing a lot on Twitter, and you tell me if you've heard the same thing. Oh, I don't think Ortiz is ready for Crawford. Who is ready for Crawford? Like you can make an argument that no one's really ready for Crawford. I mean,
listen, man, the guy is ready.
Does it make?
The guy is ready. You know what I mean? The guy's ready for him, and that's the thing, man. He's definitely ready for it. He's had enough fights. He knows that fight should happen. That's a big fight, and that's a big money fight. You know what I mean? You're going to put that fight in California, that'll sell. Put it in Texas, that'll sell.
100%.
That's a good one, man. It really is. On the undercard here, Charles Conwell versus Chiari Gray. Conwell wins via second-round KO. It was a body shot that finished Gray in the second round. Charles Conwell back in action. I like to see this guy. I hope they start building him back up to where he needs to be and all that other good stuff, man, because he's a good fighter. All right, let's move over to ESPN. Main event, Angelo Leo versus Luis Alberto Lopez for the IBF featherweight title. Leo wins by 10th round KO over Lopez. If you haven't seen this yet, go watch it. It was a picture-perfect left hook that put him out. It was like a counter shot, and the angle he got on it, I mean, you could tell the guy was at an angle, and he just punched almost like just a perfect hook that placed right on his face, man, just right around his jaw area, and that guy dropped. He was out. He was completely out. Beeb, is Angelo Leo the best fighter in that division?
I think he still has to take on someone like Espinosa to prove that, because a lot of people think Espinosa is the best, but he can make a run for it. I mean, if he can get the opportunity, then he can prove that. Right now, what I say he is, I think the division's wide open. I think we have to see all these guys fight each other to determine that. Because I'm a big Nick Ball fan. You know, I like Nick. I like Nick Ball a lot. A lot of people think that, you know, Espinosa would beat him. My favorite fighter in this division is Nick Ball. I like his style. But Angelo Leo made some noise last night. He made a good case for himself. So I guess to answer your question, he deserves to be in the conversation at the very least, right?
At the very least, yeah, at the very least.
Put him in the conversation.
I agree.
I don't have a problem putting him in the conversation.
Friend of the show, Vito Melnecki versus Laszlo Toth. Melnecki beats Toth by DQ. This was now I didn't see this fight, but I read about it. It said that Toth went down in the second round, and his corner obviously thought he'd had enough and jumped on the apron to stop the fight, and they disqualified him for it. I mean, a win's a win, but yeah, that's weird, you know. Angelo Leo from sleeping in his car to pro box to this. There you go. There you go.
Shout out to Angelo Leo, brother.
Yeah, man. It's something when you can make it work, you know. I mean, very few people can make it work, but if you're one of those guys, man, it happens. It happens. And that was the action, Beeb, yesterday. That was it for the action yesterday. And we'll go over the next week's fights. But after next week, we don't have a big fight until next month.
I know.
So like next month.
September is a decent month. We got the Joshua fight with
September's stacked.
Yeah, it's a good card.
Well, let's take a look at it. August 17th from Quebec City, Canada, on ESPN and ESPN Plus. Christian Ambili versus Sergey Derevchenko, 10 rounds, super middleweights. Arslanbek Makhmudov versus Guido Vianello, 10 rounds, heavyweights, and that's about it. Abdullah Mason on that card versus Augustin Quintana, 8 rounds, lightweights. So not a bad card. Definitely a good, you know, I'll definitely watch it, you know. But after that, after August 17th, there's nothing until September 3rd. And that's when Naoya Inoue fights TJ Doheny. Let's see here. What else we got? September 14th, we got Canelo, Edgar Berlanga. Jaime Munguia on September 20th. What do you think of that Jaime Munguia fight? Jaime Munguia versus Eric Bazinian.
I just think it's a stay busy fight. I'm
surprised that, you know, is this like a get back fight or is this
a get back fight?
Is it a get back fight? Okay.
Yeah, it's 100% a get back fight. Yeah.
Because, you know, I'm saying though, like, you know, they've matched Jaime Munguia so poorly in the sense that he hasn't really gotten the big fights. When he got the big fight, he lost the big fight. Now, look who he lost to. That's no shame in that.
He made a good account of himself, though.
Yeah, he gave a great account of himself. He gave a great account of himself.
And the Derevchenko fight, which was the fight before that was no case. Yeah. People underestimate Derevchenko. He gives everyone a tough out. He's giving Danny Jacobs.
He's a very tough fighter.
You know, he's. I mean, I'm sure he's going to give Billy a tough fight too. You know, people may look at that fight and that fight may fly under the radar, but if you go and watch that fight, I'm sure that's going to be a very entertaining, exciting fight. Yeah.
And then Daniel Dubois, September 21st, Daniel Dubois and Anthony Joshua. That's a good one. That is a really. Did you hear they're trying to put together another 5v5 with Frank Warren and Eddie Hearn?
I heard they were going to do it, but I didn't hear that they were like any news about it recently. No. So I knew they talked about doing another one, but is there any word on when the next one's going to be?
They're in talks right now for it.
Okay,
that's what I heard. They're in talks right. That's what I read.
I actually enjoyed that concept.
I really enjoyed it.
I thought it was cool.
Yeah, and I mean, it's like, you know, like when it's a team, like you had a vested interest in it. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like you really had a vested interest in it, and like, you know, they assigned. I think they assign like point values to fights and everything like that.
Yeah.
You know, so it was kind of silly, but it was really cool because it was like, you know, and you could tell like they were really trying to fight. They were in there. They wanted to win, and it was good. You know, I imagine the winning team got more money or something like that. I would imagine anyway, but I don't know. So yeah, Dale from Chi-Town, Derevchenko is always a tough fighter. He's always a tough out. Always a tough out. Listen, guys, if you like what we're doing and we're entertaining, or even if we're not entertaining, you're just watching us, just hit the like button for us, man. It helps us out so much. Like and subscribe. It helps us out so much, man. It really does. Let's see here. Okay, so speaking of, let's see here. Where am I going here? Give me 2 seconds. Okay, so Turki Al-Alshikh. This is where we were. So Turki Al-Alshikh, all right, recently he was at the fights last night, and he was talking how he liked Ortiz, he liked Vergil Ortiz and everything like that. Then they asked him about Canelo. I guess a couple of days ago they had asked him about Canelo. So apparently what happened is they had asked Canelo, they said, hey, Turki went to him and wanted to make this Crawford fight, right? Canelo said, look, man, I got a fight in September. I'm not thinking about anybody else. And I thought that was a very respectful answer, to be honest with you.
Very reasonable.
I think he's very reasonable, and I think it's very respectful to talk to Berlanga, and to try to sell that fight, and just his respect level for Berlanga. He knows maybe it's not a cakewalk. I don't know. But, I guess anytime you get in there, it's not a cakewalk, because you get hit in the face.
Absolutely.
So Turki, took huge offense to that, apparently.
He did, yeah.
I think that Turki's not used to anybody telling him no.
That's right.
That's the thing. And I think that he's not used to anybody telling him no. And when somebody tells him no, he throws a fit. He's a baby.
Let me ask you this.
He is.
When was the last time Canelo fought in February? He has his dates. He has his routine or whatever. So if you're gonna disrupt his routine, you're gonna make him do something out of the norm for him,
right?
Then obviously he's gonna request you compensate him for that inconvenience, right? I think
150 million was what Canelo said.
Yeah.
150 million. Gogaruga says that even Teddy Atlas calls Turki the face of boxing. You know who else calls Turki the face of boxing? Turki. He calls himself the face of boxing. I don't understand. You know what I don't understand is that how the Hall of Fame, the Nevada Boxing Hall of Fame, not the International Boxing, but the Nevada Boxing Hall of Fame, put him in there, honorarily put him in there. He's never staged a fight in Nevada. Never. What are you doing? Come on, man. I get it. Listen, don't get me wrong. I love Turki just like everybody else. And for me, if you want to be a jerk, if you want to be a baby, listen, I don't care. I could care less. As long as you're putting out fights I want to see and you're making them available and everything, I'm good.
And here's another thing, Eric. I'm not going to cry about Canelo Benavidez not happening. I'm not going to cry about Tank versus Shakur not happening or Tank versus Lomachenko not happening. Because if I can get Fury Usyk 2, if I can get Bivol Better Beef, if I can get William Zepeda versus Shakur, if I can get all these Vergil Ortiz versus Terrence Crawford, if I can get all these other fights, then what am I crying about? You can't have everything, right?
Yeah.
This has probably been one of the best years in boxing. This year outdid last year, and last year was nothing to sneeze at.
And that I tell you what, UFC Noche is on Mexican Independence Day weekend. On Mexican Independence Day weekend. And so Canelo fights on Berlanga on Mexican Independence Day weekend.
Correct.
Just like he does every other time.
All the time, yeah.
So they put it, so Dana went to get the MGM Grand and they had already sold it to Al Heyman. So Dana went, and he went to the Spear and they were able to get him in the Spear. And Turki Al-Alshikh is kind of bankrolling, not bankrolling it, but he's got a vested interest in it, let's say. I know he's putting money toward it. And that was one of his comments that we're going to crush him on Mexican Independence Day. That UFC card. Now, listen, that UFC card is not a bad card. It's a pretty good card. But this is Canelo on Mexican boxing. They're different.
I'm a casual guy. I know John Jones. I know Stipe Miocic. I know Tom Aspinall. I know Sugar Sean O'Malley. Yeah. Outside of that, obviously Conor McGregor, Adesanya, I know all those guys, but outside of that, I don't know these other guys. And
for a casual fan looking at that card, it would be a tough sell. The UFC card. I'm saying. I like UFC. Antonio loves the UFC.
You and Antonio are more in tune with the UFC than I am. I'm a pure casual fan.
Yeah, and there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that at all. We look at that card and say, oh yeah, that's going to be a really good card.
That's why I have to ask you, man. I have to defer to you because you're more in tune, like I said, than I am. So I'm casual. So that's why I have to ask you. this card going up against Canelo, who's going to win here?
I don't know, because, you think about it, the UFC has many more fans than boxing does. It really does.
Yeah, they have
pay-per-views. I think their pay-per-views
demographic. The pay-per-views are a little cheaper.
Yeah, the pay-per-views are cheaper, and I think they actually do better. I could be wrong, but I think they do better. Okay. I really do.
Gotcha.
So I know Turkey's involved in that the Riyadh season, UFC Noche. But let's talk about this Crawford thing, man. So he apparently lost. They lost like $10 million from Crawford. The Crawford Madrimov fight lost about $10 million. Kevin Iole reports that they were giving away tickets to this fight. That fight didn't sell out. And apparently they lost close to $10 million.
And one thing about
this
Kevin
is what
Iole,
sources told Kevin Iole. Yes.
Yeah. One thing about Kevin Iole, he's pretty reliable. He's
for sure.
No,
he was with Yahoo forever, but he was always a journey. We knew his name. We knew who he was.
Well, and the thing about him too is, Dan sometimes can get wrapped up in his own biases. Like
Dan very much can. Yeah.
Yeah. Iole is a pretty straight shooter. He calls it down the middle. I have a high level of respect for Iole. He never just says anything incredulous. He doesn't just put things out there just to put them out there. So if someone told him this, I'd be inclined to believe it.
Yeah. Yeah. Iole's definitely legit. Yeah. Iole, Dale from Chi-Town, he's 100% right. He's definitely legit. So sources told him they lost close to $10 million on that fight. I'm inclined to beat him, to agree with him. The pay-per-view numbers were not released, but Jedi Goodman on Twitter. Do you guys know who this is? Jedi Goodman?
He's kind of, I don't know if I believe him, but I don't
know. But he's usually pretty good at that kind of stuff, man. He suggests that it could be in the 75 to 100,000 range for pay-per-view buys.
I know a lot of
that is really
off the record.
bad.
I know a lot of people did not buy that pay-per-view. A lot of people,
anecdotally,
people I know did not buy that pay-per-view.
I'm
not prepared to put anyone on blast, but a lot of people I talked to did not buy that pay-per-view.
I personally know somebody who didn't buy that pay-per-view. That's what I know.
Yeah.
But again, I'm not going to throw anybody's name out.
I woke up one morning, I was looking in the mirror. That guy that I saw, he didn't buy that pay-per-view.
You'll never see me and him in the same room at the same time.
I'm not going to say we're related. We're not related, but we know each other.
Omar Rodriguez, I think this is a safe bet. He says he doesn't think Jedi Goodman is a true Jedi. I think that's probably
he's a Padawan.
Correct. He's what? A Padawan?
He's an apprentice.
Listen, man. Why? Listen. We all know Crawford's a good fighter, right?
Yes.
But he's not Tank, and he's not Ryan Garcia, who's actually going to move
not Fury,
the needle.
not Joshua.
Not Fury, not Joshua. He cannot. Why? Why can't he move that needle? He's exciting. He had 11 straight knockouts going into this fight, the Madrimov fight.
Yeah.
Knocked out Errol Spence in spectacular fashion, the biggest welterweight fight since Ray Leonard and Hearns. I would say De La Hoya and Trinidad, but that one was horrible. But honestly, man, what is it? What does he need to do? What is it about him?
He's doing a lot of media now too. Like he's
does not resonate with the fans.
He's going on these podcasts. He's doing a lot of stuff on YouTube, TikTok. Like he's talking to a lot of these people online now.
Yeah,
some pretty decent. Like he sat down with Logan Paul's podcast, Impulsive.
Yeah.
He's out there. He's doing the Breakfast Club. So
and he's out there now. But you got to wonder, he's 37, right? He's 37 years old.
36,
37. Yeah, he's somewhere in there.
Yeah, he's up there.
So for all of his career, where's he been? And this isn't something that you can just do overnight. Look how long Floyd. We all thought Floyd was the best boxer on the planet before he was pound for pound number one, before he fought De La Hoya, before he fought all those guys. We knew, at least I looked at him and said, you know what? That's got to be the next guy. He's the next guy.
One thing,
but he did a lot of promotion.
Yeah.
That's something he didn't do.
One thing Crawford said, and he's not the only fighter to say this, and again, you can agree or disagree with them. I'm not a professional fighter, so I'm not a manager. I'm not in the inner workings of the sport, but
yeah,
I'm just going to give my layman's opinion on it. So he says, it's not my job to promote. It's the promoter's job to promote. But meanwhile, I see a lot of other fighters out there, on social media being active, We know what Ryan Garcia did on social media. These guys are all have historically always put themselves out there, been available for interviews, whether it be like traditional media or media, social media type outlets. They've always put themselves out there and have been available. And he's only recently, as you said, started doing that.
Right.
So,
you're not going to get 10 million people to like you just like that.
Yeah. How many years have you lost with that old school mentality of it's my job to fight, it's the promoter's job to promote?
Right. And that
times have changed. Times have
really changed. Times have really changed. And that's the thing. Warrior Way says Crawford was just too inactive in his prime. I don't know. I necessarily agree with that. I think that, again, man, I think that, Top Rank can only do so much with you. You have to have something. Lomachenko, Lomachenko has a story behind him, and they take that story and they run, even though he doesn't speak English well. They took that story and they ran with it, and it resonated.
Built up a following in the East Coast too, Lomachenko. A lot of people in the East Coast know Lomachenko.
Yeah.
Does good numbers. Does good numbers in Vegas too.
Right. Tank, they know him everywhere. He does good numbers everywhere because he's on social media and he's knocking guys out like a mini Tyson. That's what you think of. He's going to wreck somebody. I'm going to show up to see it.
And just to take it back to Canelo briefly.
Yeah.
If you're Canelo, why would you fight Crawford? What is the upside? You beat him. You just beat a junior middleweight. Like, what credit are you going to get for beating? You have everything to lose and really nothing to gain, with all due respect to Crawford, in this fight. In my opinion, if I'm Canelo, that's how I'm looking at it. What do I have to gain here?
I'll tell you what. And Turki Al-Alshikh really gave it to him. He said that, quote, and he's been looking for simpler battles ever since he knows how it feels losing to Dimitri Bivol. Furthermore, I am not the one terrified of engaging David Benavidez or Crawford in combat.
Okay, but why did you offer David Benavidez the winner of Better Beef Bivol if you really wanted to make that Benavidez-Canelo fight?
Because Canelo wasn't taking that fight. He wasn't taking that fight.
Why did
what did he want? 200 million?
Yeah, he wanted 200 million for that fight.
200 million.
It's not getting.
Think about that. 200 million.
And to his credit, he came out and said the reason why I'm asking for that is because he's a risk. I should get paid for the risk. He said it.
He's right. He's right.
I think Benavidez beats him. You think Benavidez beats him, but a lot of people don't.
Well, yeah, it's a risk though. Yeah, you're right. You're 100% right. Now, Tank said that he would have to buy, like, Al-Alshikh would have to buy him like 2 Lamborghinis or something crazy. I don't know what it was.
And I don't want the cars.
Yeah, what are you going to do with the cars? You just take the cash.
What the fuck I do?
Buy the car.
Boston. What am I going to hit a pothole? My fucking front end's my front end's fucking gone.
Yeah. Oh God, can you imagine?
What do I need that for?
And not to mention the maintenance and upkeep on them. Like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Like, come on, man. Don't be silly. Robert, let's bring him on here. Robert, come on in here. Let's talk about this Al-Alshikh.
What do you think,
thing.
Bobby?
Bobby, what's the matter?
Hello, guys.
Hey, Bobby.
Now, Robert. Before you go any further, Robert, let me just explain the situation here. Robert is calling the bat phone directly. All right, Robert has access to the bat phone. This is why he's the only caller that can come in.
For him?
What's that? It's finally picked it up for him. I actually called him.
You've been ghosting this kid for months.
Oh, stop it. What's the matter with you? So Blog Talk is not up today, as you can see by the banner here. But Robert is calling the bat phone. So Robert, let's have at it. Turki Al-Alshikh, go.
Okay. I can see both sides to this argument. I don't agree with Canelo asking for 200 million to fight David Benavidez. Yes, it's a risk, but if I also don't agree with Turki trying to put Canelo in with somebody that's 2 weight classes lower. After what I saw
that's
last
a fight everybody
week,
wants to see, though.
I do not.
That's a fight a lot of people want to see.
Well, I don't. As a boxing fan, Eric, I don't believe if Terence Crawford gained 14 pounds, it would be a competitive fight because.
Well, Robbie, not to cut you off, but
okay.
They're reporting that the night of the fight against Madrimov, he weighed 170 pounds. But to your point, Canelo probably weighs 180 pounds the night of the fight, so he'd probably be giving up at least 10 pounds.
Exactly.
I don't know that that's the same thing.
And remember, And remember when Canelo,
go ahead.
When
It's not the
Canelo
same
weighs
thing. I agree
in,
with you.
guys,
I agree
he
with
normally weighs in about 166, 167, and who knows how many pounds he puts on, from the weigh-in time to the fight time. So Canelo would be naturally bigger anyway. I'm glad that they're off of the Canelo Crawford fight, but I am disappointed that we're not going to see Canelo and Benavidez. David's going to do his own thing, and I don't blame David for moving up. I wouldn't wait around either. He's been asking for that fight for 2 or 3 years, and he hasn't been able to get it. So, it is what it is. But I can see the argument. But if I'm writing the check and I'm making somebody a significant offer, and we don't know what the offer was, like he said last week when he was interviewed during the fight card in LA, he said, "Look, as long as Canelo's demands aren't too exorbitant, we'll make that fight." But he said if they are, then we're going to move on, and we have other plans for Crawford. And other plans for Crawford is Vergil Ortiz, and Terence Crawford will beat Ortiz. It'll be an interesting fight, but he'll beat him. But if you're on the Canelo side of the fence, after you beat Edgar Berlanga, and let's face it, you're going to beat him. I don't know whether it'll go the distance or whether you'll finally get a knockout, but you're going to beat him. After that fight, what do you do if you're Canelo Alvarez? Who are you going to fight? Christian and Billy is not ready for a Canelo fight. Can you name anybody that would be worthy of a fight at 168 with Canelo? I don't think there is anybody.
Well, let's talk about that for a minute, because we expect him to get past Edgar Berlanga. Did you see the press conferences, Beeb?
I did. I enjoyed them.
They were good. I enjoyed them too. Now I'm in. I'm locked in now.
I think they did a good job promoting that. Yeah.
They did an unbelievable job, because I was so down on this fight. And then when I saw it was like the McGregor Floyd Mayweather thing. I was down until I saw the conference. Now I'm in. Because now they look like they look like there's legitimate bad blood there. So I want to see this now. But if he beats Edgar Berlanga, honestly, who's left? What's next for him?
See, now
175 is too much for him. I really believe that.
Yeah, I disagree with Robbie. I do think the Mbili fight would be interesting. I think probably Canelo would win, but Mbili has a very fan-friendly style, and I would argue Mbili is probably better than Berlanga, if I'm being honest. Now you could argue, you could refute that by saying, well, at least Berlanga may have a bigger name than Mbili. That's debatable, but again, I don't think Mbili is any worse than Berlanga, with all due respect. I think that would be a fun fight. I think it would be a fun fight.
Okay.
So
I don't mind if you disagree with me. I just threw the name out there. We're going to find out what level Christian and Billy's on this weekend when he fights one of the toughest fighters out there. Because every time that guy steps in the ring, he always gives fighters fits.
Yeah.
Never an easy out.
Yeah, how difficult that was.
Never an easy out with this guy.
Yeah.
No.
Nope.
But I think, Canelo really has got to be more open to this stuff, because he's fresh out of fighters.
But here's the thing, Eric. The market will always dictate how much a fighter's worth and what he's allowed to do. It's like anything else. It's like any other business. The market will dictate, right?
Yeah.
So once.
And, look, another thing you have to be open to, guys, is if Turkey is giving you a date, you have to say yes. You can't really say no.
Why?
I mean, it's not like you got.
I've said no to Turkey many times.
It's not like
I have too.
That guy's tried to fly me out there, when I'm working and I don't want to use a vacation day. I said no. I can't.
He wanted to fly me out there too, and I'm like, no.
The guy knows several times. No, I'm not at his beck and call.
Yeah. So why does he have to say yes to Turkey? I don't understand, Robert. Where are you going with this?
Well, the point is, he's got the money. He's writing the checks, Eric. I think when somebody's
going to write the checks.
But Canelo's already cashing checks.
Yeah, Canelo doesn't need his money.
Cashing big checks, bro.
That's where the difference is that Canelo doesn't need his money. He doesn't.
100% doesn't need his money.
He needs for like 100 million or 150 million or 200 million. He doesn't even need it.
Listen.
Right.
For what Canelo's probably making fighting.
I don't know.
fighting Berlanga for a fight that on its surface does not look very difficult, with all due respect. He's pretty. I mean, this is a good situation. You're fighting a guy, Berlanga, who you feel very comfortable that you can beat, and you're probably getting paid tens of millions of dollars to do it. So what's wrong with that?
Right.
I mean, you may not like it as a fan, but what are you going to do if you're put in that situation? Are you going to do it any differently? I don't know. I probably wouldn't.
You know, and
Probably
look, man,
no.
80. What was it? How much was the Crawford pay-per-view? $90.
80 if you bought it on DAZN, or if you bought it on DirecTV. It was 90 if you bought it on ESPN Plus.
Jesus, $90, and it was a good card. It was good, but man, that card was so long. What was Eminem doing in there? Like, I don't need to see Eminem in there.
I didn't need it.
Just come on, man. I need you guys to get some time in these cards. You watch a UFC card, it's fluid. You know what I mean? They're in, they're out. The next bout's coming up. There's very little downtime there. There's way more downtime in fights, man. Just way in boxing. Just way more. It's crazy, man. It really is. So, Robert, Madrimov and Crawford lost $10 million. That's the reporting by Kevin Iole. What can Crawford, is there anything Crawford can do, or is he just not a draw?
No, Eric, I think it's too late. I think if Terrence Crawford ever wanted to get the casual fans' attention, he would have had to do it a lot sooner. I think that ship has sailed. The problem is a lot of fighters now, Ryan Garcia, Tank Davis, Shakur Stevenson, a lot of the fighters nowadays are on social media always. Mm-hmm. They're doing their Instagram, they're doing their Twitter, and Terrence Crawford is he's behind the times. I don't think he'll ever be able to capture the general public's imagination. Only boxing fans will care about what Terrence Crawford does, because that's just who he is. I don't think there's anything he can do.
All right. Well, what about Bernard Hopkins? Everybody remembers when Bernard Hopkins lost to Jones the first time. It was really a crossroads fight for those two. And it was like an 8-4 fight. Jones got the victory. You know, it wasn't easy, but it wasn't.
8-4,
yeah, it wasn't easy, but it wasn't it wasn't overly tough, in the sense that it was a close fight. It was the most Jones had been pressed up until then. He'd given Jones the most problems. And Bernard Hopkins went through, after beating Trinidad, after beating all of them, he didn't even get popular until late in his career. But he has a charisma about him. You know what I mean? He likes to do interviews. He has a charisma about him. Terrence Crawford is just a normal guy. He doesn't have that charisma, and he doesn't have a story. No. I'm sure I've heard his story. His story is great, but it doesn't resonate with people. For whatever reason, there's something about this guy that doesn't resonate with people. I don't understand it. I don't know why. It's just some guys are likable, some guys.
And I hate to bring this up, but the more fighters that get in trouble, the more attention they draw to themselves. I mean, Ryan Garcia is not going to fight until after next April, and he's always in the news doing something. I mean, what does that tell you about social media these days? I mean, Terrence Crawford, he just lives a normal everyday life. He doesn't change how he does things. He does, therefore he doesn't draw any attention to himself outside the ring. So that's why people find him not appealing, I guess.
Well, I mean, and Crawford was getting in trouble earlier in his career. Remember that with the body shop and everything? He went and wrecked that body shop to get his car back and all that other good stuff.
That whole,
but he's never all that. And he's had run-ins with his opponents and stuff like that. But he's just never been able to cross over. I mean, it's real easy. They either gotta love you or they gotta hate you. And if you fall in that middle category, man, you may be able to win titles and everything like that, but you're never going to be Sugar Ray Leonard here, or Oscar De La Hoya, or Floyd Mayweather. You know, and it just is, man. It just Warrior Way says it's the PBC fans. If the PBC fans that still dislike Crawford because Spence used to sell decent 300 million plus, I don't know, man. It does seem like the PBC fans didn't like Crawford, but I mean, it is. I don't know.
And speaking of Spence, I heard a rumor that Spence is going to get a title shot against Fundora.
Yeah.
Really?
I'm
yeah.
actually hearing other rumors that he's going to retire.
Really?
I've heard rumors of that going
So
in that
talk
direction
to me
too.
about this because I haven't heard this.
And they're saying Fundora is going to fight. Who's he going to fight? He's supposed to be fighting not Tim Tszyu, but he's supposed to be fighting somebody else. I think he's supposed to be fighting.
Trust me, it ain't gonna be Tim Tszyu again.
No, not Tim Tszyu. He's supposed to be fighting. I think I'm trying to remember the other guy. Azul Madiyov, the winner of that fight, I guess.
Okay.
Yeah, I forget that other champion's name. It's another Eastern European fighter.
And that's another. So if you're Turki Al-Alshikh and you see this, you've just lost 10 million with Crawford.
Yeah.
That's a big deal. This is not a guy who's used to, losing. But that's a pretty big deal.
Yeah.
And so, do you put you can only put Crawford in marquee fights now.
Yeah.
I mean, that's all you can do.
Eric, I think what this tells Turkey is if he wants to continue to help Terrence Crawford in his career, I think Crawford is going to have to go to the Middle East and actually fight on a Saudi Arabia card in Saudi Arabia.
And I don't think he would mind that. I don't think he would mind.
No.
I mean, because he's getting paid. You're going to make a good wage.
Yeah.
So why not?
So Tim Tszyu is supposed to be fighting this guy, Bakram Murtazuliev, who's the IBF champion. And I'm hearing that Fundora was going to fight the winner of that guy. That's what I was hearing.
Okay.
So
I heard that's supposed to be September 22nd, if I'm not mistaken, Joe.
yeah, and people were saying that fight's supposed to be in Australia, but D-Style talked to his manager and he said that they're going to do it in the United States again, and it's probably going to be a PBC fight. So because they were trying to get they were trying to put Tim Tszyu versus Erickson Lubin together again, but for whatever reason, Erickson Lubin just keeps turning down the fight. So Bakram Murtazuliev is the IBF champion. That's going to be next for Tim Tszyu, and I think Fundora will probably get the winner of that. But they mentioned the Spence fight, but I'm also hearing Spence just may retire. That's what I'm hearing. I don't know what's going to happen
with Spence now. I know he's not working with his trainer anymore. We found that out
he's not
a while
with,
ago.
Derek James anymore.
Derek James, yeah.
But, I don't know, man. Like it's been like they had a date for this Fundora thing, then they pushed it back, and then Fundora is saying, "Oh, well, we're gonna do it later." But then I'm also hearing that Spence may just retire. So I don't know. I guess that Crawford fight must have took a lot more out of him than we think.
Well, who even knows if it was the Crawford fight and not those accidents?
Could have been a lot of things.
I mean, he's pretty fast and loose. I mean, it's that's going to take a toll on you.
You spend like 17, 18 years at the same weight, and you're trying to boil down from upwards of 190 pounds in some
He's
occasions.
a pretty big. He's a stuffed guy. I mean, he really is. He's not.
Yeah.
So yeah, man. Listen, if he does retire or whatever, I don't blame him. He did, did a lot of stuff, man. What do you? Olympic medal. He was in the. He didn't medal though, did he? I can't remember if he did or not.
No, he didn't medal.
He was in the 2016 Olympics.
Yeah, he did.
And speaking about two more guys that should be retiring, but they're going to fight each other. Danny Garcia and Anderson de Laura. They're going to be on the undercard of the Canelo.
Yeah, I saw that. I can't. Yeah, that's another one I can't believe is actually even happening.
Yeah.
Are you serious? I mean, and they're two good names, but those guys are way past their expiration date, man. I don't know that any of them can really beat any of the top guys. But I am interested to see if Garcia's got anything left. I mean, when was the last time he fought?
The last time that I know that he fought, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I think the last time Danny Garcia was in the ring was, against Errol Spence?
2022 against Jose Benavides Jr., July 30th, 2022. Okay. So, 2 years. 2 years.
How do these guys take so much time? I guess because they got so much money. They make so much money on these fights that they can take 2 years off, I guess.
And Danny Garcia says he's investing in properties and everything. So he's hopefully he's set and hopefully he's done well with it, is. And I hope he doesn't have to, have to fight,
Yeah.
All right, we talked about the Olympics. Let's talk about the Olympics for a minute here. Uzbekistan boxers have dominated the Olympics this year. 5 medals. They were all gold for Uzbekistan fighters. Just an incredible performance. They do the basics very well. Very fundamentally strong fighters. And quite honestly, I think that's the difference between them and the U.S. If you watch those U.S. fighters this time around, you could see it. I think a lot of them rely on athleticism versus fundamentals. And you can tell because the amount of people even qualifying to get to the Olympics is way down for the U.S. We used to have guys, remember, what was it, 84? Was it 84? Or it was 76, 80,
76, 84. Even 88, we had,
we had a ton. You're talking about like at least 10 guys in there. Now we're sending 3?
Yeah.
3 for real?
Part of the reason why I kind of lost interest in the Olympics too is just because it's not the same.
But you're seeing that stuff carry over to the pros as well. The Uzbek fighters, with Jalalov, he got his second gold medal. But he's a pro. He's 17-0, 17 KOs. He should not have been in the Olympics. That's my thing. Because
I don't like it. I don't like the pros. I don't like the NBA players being in the Olympics. I don't like. I don't either. I just don't like either.
It. Because, we were watching that France game, the NBA game with the France against France, and I'm like, they're gonna blow these guys out, or the one against Serbia.
It's the Harlem Globetrotters, bro.
Yeah, they were down by like 17, and I'm like, they're not gonna lose this. And sure enough, they didn't lose. It's like you said, it's the Harlem Globetrotters against the Washington Commanders or whatever they're Washington. Yeah, that's what it was, man. And it's like you want to at least have some drama in there. There's no drama in here. Jalalov didn't lose anything on the judges' cards. Every judge, every decision, unanimous. So he was a minus 1,000 favorite to win that gold medal. Nobody, and I looked at the odds, nobody even came close. In fact, when you look at it, it's kind of like looking at if you do odds for golf or something like that, where everybody's plus, or at the start of the NFL season where you look at the matchups, everybody's plus to win the Super Bowl. There's no real favorite, but a minus 1,000 favorite? Like, what are you doing? Like, come on, man. Give me a break. Yeah, and Dale from Chi-Town, you're 100% right. No more Michael Rizzioni or Jim Craig. It's all pros now. Yeah.
I said that last week. It's like we're back in the day when the 1980 Olympic team, Jim Craig, Michael Rizzioni. Jim Craig's from Boston, baby.
They had a lot of guys from Boston on that team, didn't they?
You want to give them respect. None of them from Ohio.
Nobody from Ohio.
Boston used to be a huge, it still is a hockey town, but it used to be a huge hockey town. Bobby Orr, Mike Krushelinski, Rick Middleton.
Never heard of them.
Terry O'Reilly.
Are they
Terry O'Reilly?
Who? They played for Boston?
Johnny Busick.
Hey, they still got a team over there? What are you doing over there? What's the matter with you?
We're not doing as good as the Celtics.
The Celtics are great, man.
Celtics are great.
I was so happy that they did win that.
LeBron James may buy a portion of the Boston Celtics. He owns a portion of the Boston Red Sox.
LeBron James does?
He does.
That guy can do anything he wants, man.
He's a billionaire.
There it is. Jamal Fuel, thank you so much. He said, my boy Jay Habib, I've been rocking with you since the Rope-a-Dope days. Great seeing you again, my brother. Hope Chris Carlson and the rest of the crew is doing well too. All right. Jack O'Callahan. That's right. Jack O'Callahan. There you go. All right, man. Jake Paul announced he's competing in the 2028 Olympics in LA. All right.
Is the 2028 Olympics is going to be Summer Olympics again? It's not going to be Winter Olympics?
Summer Olympics. So the next two are going to be here. So it's 2024 and 2026.
They don't alternate winter, summer.
They do. So like in 2024 is the Summer Olympics. 26 will be the Winter Olympics. That's going to be in Utah. 28 Olympics will be in LA.
Yeah, but it's every 4 years, isn't it? Or did they change it to every 2?
It's every 4 years, but they alternate. So like every 2 years, so 2024 is summer, 2028 will be summer. But the opposite years, 2026 is going to be winter, whereas 2022 was winter. You see what I'm saying? Every 2 years, there's a summer or a winter.
You mean 2032, not 2026. Because 2026 is not 4 years from now, is it?
For the Winter Olympics, it is. Because the last Winter Olympics was 2022.
Oh, so you're saying every 4 years there's a Summer Olympics, every 4 years there's a Winter Olympics.
Right, correct.
Oh,
correct.
okay. I thought there was just every 4 years an Olympics and they alternated. Okay, my fault.
Clarissa Shields.
Like that?
Go ahead. What now?
Did they always do it like that?
Yeah, I believe so.
Because I remember it used to be 1980, 1984. Like it just used to be.
Robert, what is that? Is that correct? They used to always do that? Did they always alternate? Because I remember the 80 Olympics. That's right. 80 Olympics.
Yeah, there was 80 and then there was 84 because 80 was winter and 84 was summer.
Robert, you there? He's not even there. He's not even
Yeah,
there.
they changed that a few years ago, guys.
Okay.
All right. I'm sorry.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Sorry about that, Eric. I didn't know that.
That makes sense. All right. Clarissa Shields apologizes to Aman Khalif. She says, you can't look at a woman and say, oh, she doesn't have a high level of testosterone. She explained to TMZ because it comes in all different forms. Your muscles, your face, just inside of you. And you look petite. You look like a petite, beautiful woman, but you can have high testosterone. I feel bad now because I did an interview with Fox News earlier, and I literally called these two women transgenders, which that's what I was told. I wish I would have did my research before. Quote, that's from Clarissa Shields. There's been a lot of people who have come out.
Yeah,
a lot of people have come out and said, hey, this was wrong. She was right. It's a lot of misinformation. A lot of people have apologized.
Yeah.
And speaking of Aman Khalif, she wins gold. Both the lady from Taiwan also won gold, who was also being accused of this as well. Iman was the bigger fighter. She, and so they really took off on her for whatever reason. But both of those guys won gold medal. Iman Khalif wins gold, unanimous decision from the competitor from China, 5-0. She deserved this. I scored the fight 2-1. I gave the competitor from China. I gave her the last round because I thought Khalif took it off, but all judges gave him the third round. So and you know what? I was fine with that too. Just about everyone who came out and criticized her has apologized. In a statement posted to Sunday's Instagram, Khalif's attorney, Nabil Bowdi, said Khalif, who won the Olympics 66-kilogram title, asked his legal firm to file a complaint with the Paris prosecutor's office on her behalf. Quote, having just won a gold medal at the Paris 2024 Olympic Games, boxer Iman Khalif has decided to lead a new fight, that of justice, dignity, and honor, Bowdi said. I'm not sure exactly what the outcome is going to be with this complaint, but I'm glad she filed it. I really am. And I don't know if money's involved. I don't know what would be involved if she won. I don't know.
So you said something last week, and I think I made light of it, but I think you're right. This is a complex situation.
Yeah.
There's no question about it. I don't know if you're familiar with this woman named Caster Semenya.
No. Okay,
so Caster Semenya, this is a very similar case to this. And she is an intersex woman. She has a vagina and she has internal testes, right?
Yeah.
She doesn't have a uterus, she doesn't menstruate, whatever. And she was in a similar situation with the IAAF, which is the World Athletics, which handles track and field globally, similar to what the IBA did. So they did a test on her. She was banned by the World Athletics, and she wasn't allowed to compete, in the 2021 Olympics, and she wasn't allowed to compete in this Olympics. And again, if you got to step outside your shoes sometimes, and you got to look at someone else's vantage point. And I think this is what you were getting at. So I'm married to a woman. I have a child. If that child is born with external female genitalia, but internal testes, I have to assign that child a gender at birth.
Yeah.
And I'm more than likely going to assign that child female if she has, right?
Right.
Regardless if she has the Y chromosome or not. So the fact you can't call these women transgender, you can't say that they're not biological women, because if they are intersex and they have female genitalia, whether they have male testes, whether they produce testosterone, at the very least, you have to admit that these are women. Now, you can debate the situation on whether they should compete or not, XY versus XX, but to call them transgender,
And where do you draw that line? Again, where do you draw that line?
Well,
if they have an XY, because again, women can have an XY chromosome and still carry babies.
They're still women.
So how do you
this is less
line?
than 1% of the population that this happens to. And think about it. Again, if I'm the father and I assign this child female at birth because she has female external genitalia, I'm going to raise that daughter. But if I step outside that shoes and I put myself in the head of a sports organization where my job is safety, fairness, or whatever, or, level playing field, then I have to look at it a different way.
But are you qualified? Are these people who are doing this qualified to make those decisions? I don't know.
Well, the problem is,
and Arian Yuta, you are completely wrong. Completely wrong.
The problem is the IOC's inconsistencies in the way they handled it. So if you're not going to let Caster Semenya compete in the 2021 Olympics, and you're not going to let her compete in the 2024 Olympics because you honored the gender test that was given to her from the IAAF. So if that gender test, you honored that, and you don't honor this. So I guess my whole argument is, it's always been with the IOC. Come up with a set of rules and follow them. Now, in this case with Khalif, she followed the rules.
She did.
She was told she didn't have to take a gender test, right?
Mm-hmm.
And she was raised a woman, right? Because since she was a child, and Caster Semenya had to go through the bullying and had to go through all of the, people making fun of her and all the stigmas that she had to go through and all that. And if you're a human being, you have to at least disavow that. We can debate whether or not this, these women should have been able to compete because of the advantages from the Y chromosome or the testosterone. Now, in this case with Caster Semenya, the IAAF have this rule where originally you have to take testosterone suppression drugs for 12 months, and you have to be, you can't be above a certain testosterone level, nanograms per deciliter. And then they changed that rule in 2023, and they made it you have to be on these testosterone suppression drugs for 24 months, and your testosterone is even further restricted. So again, the IOC accepted they don't allow this woman to compete. So again, you have to be consistent on how you apply this. You have to come up with a rule. If you don't, obviously it is a sensitivity issue, right? Yeah. Taking these gender tests. And if she does take the gender test and it's found that she has a Y chromosome, that still doesn't mean she's not a woman, because again, this is a rare condition, right? It's not a disease, it's not a deformity, it's just a rare condition that 1% of the women have, right? Where you're intersex, your differences in sexual development. Yeah. And if I had a daughter and she had differences in sexual development, and in Caster Semenya's case, she had external female genitalia and internal testes, I would assign her female at birth if I'm being objective. Now, again, if I'm the head of an organization, I do agree that the Y chromosome and the men's level testosterone do give them an advantage, but again, that doesn't mean that I have to, insult them and say they're not women. They, even if their testosterone is male level, they still are women because they were assigned women at birth, and they do have, I would believe, if you have development sexual differences, you do have female genitalia.
Here's the crazy thing. We don't have proof of any of it. We don't have proof of any of it. The test, that when they were asked about the test, they shut up. They didn't answer any questions about the test. They had that guy come out and say, this is what it was. Nobody ever saw a copy of the test.
And again, I'm going to push back on the IBA a little bit, and I'm going to be even-handed in my criticism. Yeah. The IBA made a statement that if you have a Y chromosome, you are a male. No, not if you're intersex. No, there are intersex women out there. And if I was married and my wife gave birth to an intersex child, and then I think this is what you were getting at last week, and I don't want to put words in your mouth. Sure. But again, if you have an intersex child at birth, and again, going back to the female exterior genitalia and the testes internally, yeah, she's producing male levels of testosterone. And as she gets older, she's probably going to display male traits and characteristics, and she's probably going to, get made fun of by kids or whatever. That's not right. So yet we have to at least disavow that. She was born, I believe, and again, this is just the circumstantial evidence. You're right, hasn't been confirmed. But why would she confirm it and go through what Caster Semenya went through? That's what you have to ask yourself, because automatically people are going to say, because now generally, yeah, when XY is male, but again, there's less than 1% of the population that is intersex. They have the right to identify, and they have the right to be assigned female at birth.
And they say she is female, period. You know what I mean? And you see pictures of her, and you know what? You see pictures of her in the ring, and they're all very, she seems to have like some masculine features or whatever. Yeah. We've all seen girls like that. I've seen guys that have similar features. But
can I just say this?
1 second. Go ahead. Go.
She's never going to admit she's intersex, because again, if she admits she's intersex, people are not going to. They're just going to say, "Oh, because you're you have the Y chromosome, you're a man." Now, again, she's a woman. She is a woman.
And I will tell you,
I believe that. But I do believe that, in my opinion, I do believe that she more than likely does have a Y chromosome. Hasn't been confirmed. You're correct.
We don't know.
Hasn't been confirmed.
And then the other thing is, okay, so like if we looked at this girl, we saw pictures of her. I finally looked at pictures of her and everything, like outside of the ring. What does she look like outside of the ring?
Yeah.
You'd never know. I mean, you honestly,
she has masculine. I think she has masculine traits.
She does, but I got to show you the picture. I'll send you the picture I have of her.
Yeah, when she's a child. Yeah.
No, she's an adult. She just did an interview. Hair's different. Hair's completely different. She's in like this suit or whatever. Yeah. Completely looks different. You know what I mean? And, like I said, man, and it's, I get it's a slippery slope. And Mike Montero had a comment last week, and he says, I have two daughters, and he's trying to protect them. I also have a daughter, and I'm trying to protect her from this type of discrimination. If you have a daughter, you're on that side of it, because this girl took so much nonsense, so much criticism for absolutely no reason. None.
But the thing, going back to my point, again, like
HLD, you're wrong. HLD, you're completely wrong. You have no idea what you're talking. It has not been confirmed. Has not been confirmed by anyone. And if you say the IBA, I'm going to laugh, because the IBA did not even confirm it.
Yeah, the IBA has not officially confirmed it. They had their vice president say it, but they haven't really confirmed it. And then in the case of Caster Semenya, it really hasn't been confirmed either. The only reason why that test was kept confidential too. But Caster Semenya did. She came out and she had said I had a Y chromosome.
Sure.
And because of that, she was put under a lot of scrutiny. Now, again, there's going to be apprehension from either one of these women to say that, because they don't want to get put under that same scrutiny. So
right. And I tell you what, and the IBA has done us no favors, because boxing may be out at the 2028 Olympics. Boxing is not currently on the program.
No, it's probably not going to be on. Yeah.
For 2028. And the International Olympic Committee, the IOC, has repeatedly said the sport must find a new suitable governing body, likely by early 2025, to be restored in the lineup for the games.
Yeah.
And that's a big deal.
And again, the IAAF and the IBA, they're not going to release the results. Caster Semenya, she appealed and she lost her appeal.
Yeah.
She appealed twice. She won her appeal in terms of the discrimination, but it still did not overturn her ban from the World Athletics, IAAF.
Right. HLD, perfect. Who's your source? Who's the source? You followed a long time. I'm sure you have. Yeah, great. Who's your source? Thank you. Next.
So
yeah.
My only question is, this is my only problem with the IOC. They accepted the results from the IAAF, but they didn't do it from the IBA.
Well, the IBA is, they've been fired, pretty much been let go by the IOC.
Yeah, there's tensions.
And let me ask you a question. Let's play like, what do they do now? because they're not going to accept the IBA.
The IBA still does world championships every 2 years.
They can do the world champion. Right, great.
They still do events. Yeah, they still do events.
I get that. But what about the IO? They're not just not going to be in the Olympics? That doesn't make any sense.
I'll be honest with you. I'll be perfectly honest with you. I do think eventually that they will repair this relationship. I think something will. I think they'll work, and I'll tell you why. Because they've been working with the IBA's been around since 1947. They've been working with the Olympics for like 60 years, Eric. And I'm going to say this: a lot of this does have to do with the Russian-Ukraine war, and now,
for sure it does. For
sure, and I'm going to say something else, and I do think a lot of xenophobia is going on here because, like, this whole thing that just because someone's Russian, automatically they're bad and evil. I don't think Russian people should be punished for the Russian government. I don't think not all Russian people subscribe to that, like Bivol and Beterbiev and what the WBC did. Right now, there is a stigma right now with Russian people. And I don't like that either.
It's the Russian-Ukraine thing, yeah. HLD says Emaine withdrew the appeal because she knew the lab results would be presented as evidence. Again, that's nothing but a figment of your imagination. You have absolutely no idea why she withdrew the appeal because you have no sources. Just like you have no sources that she has an XY chromosome. You have nothing except your own imagination. That's it.
The IBA did say that both women have a copy of the test, but again, why would you release it? Because if you the minute you say you have a Y chromosome, they're women. I believe they're intersex women, but as you said,
I don't even know that. I don't even think that. I think she's just a woman.
You can question that if you want, because
because until proven otherwise, until proven otherwise,
really technically been confirmed. Now you could say they haven't denied it. Yeah,
hasn't been confirmed at all.
The IBA is saying it. The IOC is denying it.
That's like saying, so that's like saying you have a criminal trial because you're on trial for something. You don't have to testify. And that's like you not testifying. It doesn't mean you're guilty. You know what I mean? Yeah. That's what it means.
Yeah, I guess the situation is these women are never going to release the results of their test because they saw what happened to Costa Semenya.
We don't know. We don't even know if they have the results of the test, quite honestly. You know?
Yeah. So.
All right. And that's it. And the Olympics, another, and I wait for this every 4 years. I love the Olympic boxing. I love watching the Olympics every 4 years. I love the boxing more than anything. But if it's not in LA, they got to repair it, right? They got to figure this out.
They'll figure it out. I'll be honest with you. The IBA hasn't always been led by this president and the vice presidents from Hungary. This is just, again, this is a Russian-Ukraine thing. There's been issues with the IOC and IBA throughout the years. There's bribery. There's drug testing scandals. There's the Chinese Olympic team, the swimmers. They all test. So again,
the entire Russian contingent is not allowed to compete because of widespread doping. Widespread, countrywide.
Well, what happened with that case was they were suspended for 4 years, but then it was reduced to 2 because they appealed it.
Yeah.
And now they got banned for the war in 2023. So the drug testing issue was taken care of. Originally, it was a problem. But again, you had the same issue with the Chinese swim team. Then the Chinese government took care of that with a little bit of this. And then that got swept under the rug. So, again,
HLD says, then why are both suppressing evidence? You have absolutely no proof of any of this. He said, take the swab test, but they won't. Again, you have no proof of any of this. We're speaking facts around here. Everything I'm telling you is factual.
They're not going to take the test because, they don't want to go through the
I don't know. Have they been offered the test? Has anybody been offered the test?
The IOC has seen how this Caster Semenya thing has played out.
Yeah.
They just don't want to go through it again. They just don't want to do it again. Because do some research on the Caster Semenya situation.
Yeah, I will.
And this woman, you think this has been a tumultuous situation? Look at that one. Go Google Caster Semenya. I'll send you a link.
Yeah, for sure.
And you'll see what happened. It's almost not identical, but very, very, very similar. Where her testosterone was like very high. Yeah. And I guess that medication that you have to take it makes a lot of the women sick, and a lot of women don't want to take it because whenever you take medication that suppresses something in your body, you're taking something unnatural to suppress something that's being naturally produced in your body. There's going to be a little bit of give and take within your system. But the whole Caster Semenya situation, the problem is like they won't let her compete. She's a mid-distance runner. They wouldn't let her compete in 2021, and they wouldn't let her compete in 2024.
Yeah.
Because she has a Y chromosome.
You know, and if there is a category for that, then make another category for it, and they can, you know what I mean. But
again,
it's hard.
At least do what the IAAF did. They come up with a plan that you have to take the suppression drug for 24 months, and you have to have your testosterone at a certain level. Do that. You know what I'm saying? But as it is, if I'm being honest, objectively, I do think the Y chromosome does give them an advantage. You know, that's my opinion. But again,
even if they have it, we don't know.
But again, like if that is the case, then the IOC, I think, should come up with something, you know, sort of like what World Athletics did.
Yeah. What are you gonna do?
So,
Omar Rodriguez hit it right on the head. By the way, OJ didn't do it. There you go. There you go. And that is going to do. We're going to wind it out with that. That'll do it for this edition of Ringside Reporter. As always, catch Joe Habib on X at JHabib1. Find our YouTube channel at ringsidereporterlive.com. And you can find me on X at ringside73. Guys, we will see you next week.